$200 million for an average family home if we continue going on with the way things are going with this inflated currency fiat monetary policy, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at
Biggs and Bogs.
they give him a smoke.
Yeah.
So funny.
It's like, so I've been trying, but no promises.
Oh, hey guys,
Hey.
and welcome back to your future home, Biggs and Boggs. I'm Marty Boggs.
And I'm Julian Biggs.
And we got Spencer on town on the screens and a very special guest joining us today, my mother. So stick around for the entire show. It's going to be a good one.
Questions.
This is some quality Canadian crypto content, folks. So make sure you smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's get right into it. What are we up to today, and how can we plan for tomorrow, Julian?
Thanks, Marty. Lots to talk about today. So we had the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank. We're going to talk about that, so stick around. We do have a good market scope coming up for you, which I shouldn't have talked about first, but we're going to talk about the housing market and how things have changed over time, the interest rates coming. Lots to talk about today, so do stick around. But up first, the market scope.
Markets go.
Okay, so we're going to look at coin market cap today. So this is kind of a broad perspective of what's going on in the entire space, and not just Bitcoin. So Bitcoin back to 42% dominance, which is great to see. The volume into Bitcoin is almost $1 billion today, and the market cap of crypto is almost at $1 trillion again, which is great to see. And we have a 24-hour volume in the market of $54 billion. So this is pretty good. You know, $100 to $120 billion volume is when things really start moving. So, you know, we're not exactly where we want to be, but we are seeing a pump right now. So let's jump over to the Bitcoin chart and see what's going on. It's actually pretty crazy today. So you can see we broke out of our large triangle pattern we were talking about a few months ago there, and we started hitting some of these retrace levels on the Fibonacci. So we made our way all the way down to the 61.8% Fib level of $19,534.
Six Juanita?
Six Juanita, yes, as old JC would say. Anyway, and
Rejected by
now
618.
and now we're back at the 38.2% Fib level, which is $21,546. And at the time of filming this video, we are currently at $21,480 with almost $1 billion of volume coming in today. So this is good. I wasn't expecting it on a Sunday, though I was expecting the bounce from these lower levels. So great to see that we're holding this 20K level, because underneath 20K for a weekly close would have been pretty detrimental.
Well, did you notice how
there,
everybody was getting extremely bearish? So funny, even Crypto Face the other day. Oh, oversold? You think oversold? You guys don't know anything.
Yeah.
You're coming at me with oversold and head and shoulders. It's like, dude, I'm looking for longs personally. I mean,
Yeah, it's funny though, because we're starting to see this perform more,
I love ECF.
more like equities. You know what I mean? And if you look at equities, they don't generally go way out of bounds.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you look at
people are calling, it's going to go to 12K.
but-
It goes from 20.
But what he's saying is that it can spend a lot of time in oversold,
For sure.
just like it did at
For sure, but
at
the
this
reason why
top,
he was
right?
saying that is because people were screaming that we're going to 12K from here.
Oh yeah.
It's like, no, we're not going to
The
go to
fear is
12K
that,
from
you
here.
know, they wanted it at 12K.
Yeah.
And they didn't get it there.
Exactly.
They got it to 15.4.
They want 12K,
Yeah.
so they're trying to tell people, oh, it's going to 12K. That's why all those old guys are
And
saying
it
that
went
it's
to
going to go to zero,
15.4,
because they want to buy it.
which we predicted here on October 2nd, if you
That's
wanted
right.
to check that out.
Yeah. It's all logged. It's on YouTube. Check out the old videos.
Anyway, so the market looks pretty good. I am very surprised to see it pump this much. If we can close over top of the 38.2% Fib, then I might be looking for longs this week again. But we're going to go over to the SPX, because we know that the S&P 500 has a big impact on these markets as well as the US dollar, which we just skipped past, but we'll have a look at that. So we did get above the pivot point of the $4,100 mark and test 4,200, but that didn't work out. We obviously came back down. We've been talking about that for a while here now, and you can see that we're actually at the point, or the 78.6 Fibonacci level for the S&P 500.
Which is the last chance.
Which is the last chance for this thing to stand up. So we do have a bit of volume traded in this area. We had this big market structure change here back in December, or just, that was December. Before the new year there. So the question is now, are we going to see these lower prices? Did I leave? I really hope. There it is. I did leave this mess of this little rat's nest down here around $3,200. And I do still think it could go there if the market and things keep going the way that it is. They've been pushing the narrative in a really negative direction.
Yeah.
And now banks are defaulting. So we're going to move on to this conversation of Silicon Valley.
Well, first of all, I'll say, like, all Jerome Powell says is that all they can do is continue to
raise interest.
Exactly, right.
And
So-
potentially more aggressively. Now too. So
yeah, because so many people have so much money, so it's brutal.
and they have to
because
print money.
It's brutal because there's people out there that have billions of dollars, and the interest rate hikes and all this stuff means nothing to them. It doesn't matter, right? So they're continuing to spend. That's why we're seeing all this money still being used and fluctuated around. But the common guy is getting screwed over. Their mortgages are going up. They're losing things because they're literally it's just another push to divide the rich and the poor, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
And
it's
you can
designed
see,
perfectly to do that, and that's what it's
in
doing.
my opinion, right now, a transfer of wealth, right?
Yeah.
Like $1 billion coming in today wasn't guys like Marty and I trading at home.
I don't trade with $1 billion at a time.
No, we're not quite there yet. Maybe next year.
Yeah. If I keep watching my own podcast, Your Future Hand, I might get
If I
there.
take more of my own advice, actually, and don't get so. Anyway, yeah, this is really great, but this is a massive volume coming in today after the market crashed on the end of the week, Thursday, Friday there. So, big transfer of wealth. And Silicon Valley, so SVB, this is one of the largest, I think it's actually the number 16 largest bank in America. They control like $212 billion worth of funds or something like that. And they had a collapse this week, but they also were attached to Circle and Coinbase's USDC coin, and they had a kind of a joint venture that they announced back in 2018.
Right.
So that's why it brought this down as well. And it's funny because we have people attack us and go, how can you trust crypto after things like FTX and all this and everything else, right? But we never talk about the banks that collapse. Like, dozens and dozens of banks collapse all the fucking time. You know what I mean? We don't talk about that, but it's, pardon my French. We're trying to watch the F-bombs.
It's a
Bring your
family
kids
show.
in. This is a family show. Yeah, bring your F-ing kids in and we'll have a great time. We'll all learn something. Anyway, so it's the same idea as what happened with FTX.
Well, the
They
technology.
take users' funds. They
Yeah.
take users' funds. They invest users' funds. Then the economy tanks. The markets come down.
They can't
Their positions are
yeah.
underwater. The interest rates go up, and they have to sell their positions at a loss.
And they get margin called.
And they get margin called. Yeah, and they ended up defaulting and screwing. So the debt situation in the United States now is absolutely asinine and through the roof. So I mean, people are starting to wake up to the fact
technology is just exposing everything for what it is now.
Yeah,
So the system's been going on for 100
general.
years, and exactly right.
Yeah.
So and they've been able to get away with it for a long
Yeah.
time, but now they have no choice but to either start to make things legal that were used to be illegal because they've been the kingpins from the beginning. Now the technology is exposing it, or they have to move to these alternatives, and so this is what we see: billions of
things
dollars.
legal. Do you hear about that? You can actually buy cocaine in the weed stores
Of
now.
course, because they have been in charge of it since day one.
Jesus.
But now with technology, they can't hide it anymore from the public.
Yeah.
So the only choice is to make it legal. So
Yeah.
because it's not, nothing's changing.
Yeah.
Nothing's changing. It's
Yeah.
just
they made the weed legal and it keeps getting stronger too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sit on the couch. You'll be
it's
fine. You'll be
ridiculous. It's
fine.
ridiculous.
You'll be fine.
Anyways, all this has been going on for a long time. That's exactly what they
Yeah.
want. All this has been going on for a long time, and the gig's up, right? So let's just start off with an example here. My mom, who's joining us today, her dad built their family home in 1951 for roughly $10,000. It has just hit the market today for the first time. I guess it's for the first time ever. It's just hit the market. Roughly just under $2 million. So that's in 70 years. Take that 10K, we add 2 zeros and double it to get to $2 million. So 70 years from now, roughly $1 million house is what an average house around here goes for. We say another 70 years, we're looking at $1 million, add 2 zeros and double it, $200,000 for a family home.
200 million.
200 million, sorry, 200 million. 200 million.
200,000.
200,000.
What is this, 1983?
Yeah. $200 million for an average family home. If we continue going on with the way things are going, living with this inflated currency fiat monetary policy, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at, $1,000 coffees, $2,000 coffees. You're looking at
it's funny, yeah, that's where inflation would take us, but we're right now witnessing the paradigm shift into the digital system. So things will change, value will change, and we may measure things in sats.
Yeah,
You know what I
we
mean?
will
So,
measure things in sats.
So
For
that's a
sure.
reality too. It's just when we reach a hyperinflation point, that's when economies just collapse and they have to fucking figure something else out, right? So
right, because the fiat system and all that stuff is designed to ignite your economy. It loses value, so you want to spend it, and they want spending to happen because that's what makes economics work is spending. And also, every single time money changes hands, they get taxed.
Well,
so,
and now they don't print as much. They print enough to make them the billions that they needed in 2020.
until now,
Yeah,
because
but now-
how are they going to bail these
But
banks out?
now what are they doing? They're taking it back from us.
Yeah,
right.
But
if
I'm just saying,
if the mortgage payment, my mortgage payment went up 7.5%.
Yeah.
like you're saying, a
Yeah.
$2,000 mortgage is now almost 4K or 4K or more,
over
right?
4K,
So
yeah.
they're just taking it back from us, right? They don't even. It's like now that they don't want to turn the money printers on, so they're going to take it back from us, right? They fucked us and and now they're going to take it back from us.
Feel free to chime in at any time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like it's just it's clearly not working. The technology is exposing it. We have nowhere else to go, really, right? Like what are we going to do now?
But
the numbers just say that it's not working. It's not going to continue to work this way.
Moves
right?
like today and what's been happening here in January. So even if we just take this move to where we are now after this retrace, we're still talking about a 28% move for January, right? So, it's becoming very evident that Bitcoin is one of the safest places to put your money now, because you can't trust the banks, you can't trust these exchanges, you know what I mean? And Bitcoin gives you that sovereignty.
Well, we just know exactly what's going to happen, because the only choice they have now, and we have banks collapsing, right?
Yeah.
So these are government issued banks, and these government issued banks, or insured banks, I should say, are insured technically, but the only way the only way that they figure out or cover the insurance is by printing more money. So the money printers will come back on to bail these banks out. It's the only reason. That's what they do. Whenever there's a bailout, they don't have the money in a reserve like an insurance company should. They print more money to bail these things out. Yeah. And we know what printed money does for Bitcoin and any asset, right?
And so the one thing that I was thinking about is all the pension funds. You know what I mean? We're starting to see pension funds allocate bits of money into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
There is an astronomical amount of money in pension funds in the United States. And if they catch on to this, and if we really do see this flip into Bitcoin, like, I said, we talked about when these moves happen, they go and they happen so fast that you will miss them. So we had a 50% pump, and I guarantee not a lot of you were buying at the bottom, right? Because we're all afraid when the prices are going down. Even myself wishing, or like my only regret is not putting more.
Yeah, I'm
in.
So over that. I love it when the price goes down. I was actually thinking about flipping my candles.
It's funny because I was like, next week I was like, I'd love to dump more in sub 20K, right? And here we are back at wow, we're flopping around now. But.
Well, I had limit orders set at all these fibs, and I hit them, and I hit 2 of them, or hit 3 of them. So I'm stoked on spot limit orders. So that's good. But yeah, like the time of cheap crypto just in general is running out, because
it's still to me 21K Bitcoin is
so cheap,
a great deal,
so cheap. We're watching the other monetary policy, the opposition fall apart before our very eyes.
Yeah, and you don't put money in here that you need to spend either. Everyone thinks that. It's like, well, I don't have the money. I can't afford to put that much in. It's like you don't put money in that you need to spend.
Also, I had a guy ask me the other day, how do I buy a coffee with Bitcoin? And I said, well, actually nowadays you can, because you can transfer if you want to, you would sell your Bitcoin on something like Wealthsimple on your exchange, which is an exchange, and you put that money on a card and you use your card. And I guess Binance
now just released their card too, so I'm definitely going to scoop up a Binance
exactly.
card.
So like all these questions and queries that people have about, how can I do this and how can I, remember it's a developing technology, right? It's not going to work exactly how everybody wants it to work from day one.
Also the fastest developing and fastest growing technology that we've ever seen.
It's only been around for 14 years, right? So we have, even though we still have a long way to go, it's clearly the next new thing. And I think it's the funniest thing ever that people are so, I guess, their head in the sand with like anything new. It's like we as a human race are technologically advancing at a rapid pace. Like you can't just say, oh no, that's just a fad. That's just going to go away. It's like, no, it's the next step.
We go through these big curves, right? We go through a big parabolic curve and then we plateau over time. And we've now just hit an exponential growth rate again because we've now discovered new technologies. Like think about it, there's public access to everybody for AI of all kinds now.
AI is insane.
And it's like, and that happened with AI has been in the systems for 20 years, but it's now released to the public. They've sorted it out enough that we get access to it now. So think about what we don't have access to, right? That we've hit another exponential point where we have these new technologies.
And of course, you can ask AI. You can ask AI what it thinks of the future of blockchain technology, and you do that for yourself and see what it says, because it tells you that it's clearly going to take over because it's a much more stable, transparent way of
and even just Ethereum
storing information
and the smart contract platforms, like they're using it for everything. You know what I mean? It's not just a transactions and exchange of money. Like it's data storage for anything and everything.
Because everything will be
right?
an NFT, right? Everything will be linked to everything will be on chain.
And it's funny because they want to feed you it as a conspiracy, right? Like fear the digital world coming and stuff like that. But it's like, man.
Well, it's already, the thing is you can't stop it at this point.
No, but they want you to be afraid of it and afraid of the change. That's how we create cognitive dissonance, right? Divide and conquer. We can't have people sorted out with the truth.
Yeah, and another thing too is it makes them equal to all of us. That's another reason why they don't want to do it. Like, because them as the issuers to everything that we have and get to, use to live, including AI, like you said, at 20 years and before we get to actually use it. Once this is all figured out, like everybody's equal. There is no issuer. We are all peer to peer.
That's the best thing about Bitcoin. There is no
and we
issuers.
will, like you said, we will have some sort of government. We will have some sort of we need to have, some sort of structure, but we don't need to have people in the government taking advantage and pushing their money and their people where they want to benefit them, right? And the funny thing is, I was having conversations with my dad when he was here about this kind of stuff, and he didn't really get much of it at all, but he did say one thing that I thought was kind of funny. He's like, I do know that it's all about the traders. It's all about the traders. That everything that happens, it's the traders. And that's funny because the number one traders are the politicians. They trade the biggest bags.
Yeah, and people need to understand that Wall Street, though, is 90% takers and 10% givers, right? If not more unbalanced than that. So it's like most of these people make their money by taking yours, right?
Your politician, the politician's salary should be $130,000 a year, but yet they make millions a year.
Yeah. How is this guy worth $85 million?
Yeah.
How did Justin Trudeau all of a sudden become worth $85 million?
Yeah. He puts his money in trades. It's trading. It's all trading.
3 years ago, he was worth $10 million. Now he's worth 85. Guy makes what? 200 or 400K a year or something, right? Come on. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What do you think, Mom? Any questions?
I think it's amazing.
Yeah,
when listening to you guys about the AI, I'm thinking, 100 years ago it was the same debate about electricity.
Exactly.
Well, and I was thinking about that too. Imagine
People
being
were
the first person. They're like, hey, we're gonna put some lightning in a bottle in your hotel. It might burn.
Yeah.
If you had somebody had to be the first person to be like, all right, put the lightning in there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I'm sure there was some fires.
Well, there was the AC versus DC. There was a huge debate. Some cities, they would go either way, and that's what eventually Tesla became broke because they didn't want to go his way.
Right. Tesla. Oh, what a sham.
No, I mean the man. I mean the man, not the car.
Oh, Nikola Tesla.
Yeah. He also was trying to give away electricity for free.
Yeah.
So they shut him down. Yeah, they shut him down hard for that because
you can't be doing that.
No, you can't be giving energy away for free. The planet creates energy everywhere you go. Go to the Bermuda Triangle, North Pole, South Pole. It creates energy. We don't have to pay for it. It's ridiculous.
No, there's so much renewable energy.
The sun creates so much energy that'll burn you.
This is what they do.
They'll fry you.
They have to create crisis because crisis profits for the special interest.
Oh, of course.
Right? And people need to realize how the money all funnels to one place.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's gone.
It's like there's only, how many oil companies are there now? In the 80s, there was how many? 7?
Lots.
How many oil companies are there now?
Yeah.
Right? Like the money.
And it's fully monopolized.
All that special interest, if you had that much money and you were that team of the 1%, of course you're going to collaborate all over the world to control the markets. Right?
And
they
it's
do
almost
that with the narrative and the fear.
Exactly. And it's nowadays, it's almost like why? Because they have so much money. It's not even about the money anymore. They just want to move.
No, it's always been. So think about the conquerors over time. It's always been about power of influence. They don't care about the money. The money is just the money is what makes us run around like fucking idiots.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
They just use it as a tool.
Right? But for them, it's about power of influence. Right? And America's had it for 100 years. Right? And it's, now it's, there's things escalating in different areas of the world that we may see a change, man.
Oh, well, there's no doubt, right?
Crazy to see China and Russia get back on top. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be bad or worse, or you know what I mean? Who knows? Or the WEF maybe takes over the one world government or something like that. But like, change is coming, man, and America's time's up. Like,
they got to do something.
Unless they get really nasty.
I don't know.
Which they could.
Yeah, I don't know. What's their thing always been? We'll blow you up or something? Like, I don't really...
Well, they've got military bases in almost every country in the world.
That's the thing, right? They're established military.
It's for our safety.
Yeah. It is. I mean, that's a legitimate argument if you talk about them being ready to go at all times, right? I guess the West.
They should spend more money on schools and less money on military. They'd be a lot better off.
Well, that's just the thing, though.
I like Elon Musk's last tweet there. It's easier to land a man on Mars than it is to change the school system.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, that's a good one. But
it's true. But I'd have to agree with him on that one.
Yeah.
Well,
Having been doing that for 30 years.
That's how they indoctrinate us here, right? So they can't get rid of that. That's the assembly line. So they don't want to change that. But they do want fucking cross-dressers twerking in front of your 5-year-olds for some reason. So something's messed up there.
Did that actually happen?
Yeah, no, that's a real thing.
There's a video. In the States, they've gone a bit overboard on the transgender stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing.
A guy in freaking booty shorts and high heels twerking and doing the
pendulum
splits in front of
always swings
5-year-olds.
way too far one way, and then it comes back and swings way too far the other way. People just can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Always with everything.
But that's the illusion, though. It's the illusion of freedom that you have the choice of the right or the left. But the fucking the puppeteer is still the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like people, if you think that Justin Trudeau and Biden are the people making decisions, you're a moron. Like
Biden can't read.
They're just figureheads.
Exactly.
That's all. That's all. They're just figureheads.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're doing what they're told, which is crazy because I don't know how they even thought that Biden was going to be able to do what he's told.
Right.
Like how do you come up with that? I guess I don't really know. I don't follow that stuff really much at all. But just obviously all the stuff that everybody sees is like, what? What did he say? He's like, oh, I'm very.
I was a swimmer, and I used to get out of the pool, and he's just such a weirdo. Like, I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm hyper focused.
Right?
In Biden's defense, if you had a microphone and a camera on you every time you opened your mouth, you'd make mistakes too.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah,
like, I mean, it's not.
I make plenty of mistakes.
They
on
only
the show.
play
Sorry,
the good.
There's
got
to be an age cap
course.
for running the frickin' free world. You know.
That I do agree with.
World,
that
right?
I do agree with. There shouldn't be anybody over the age of 60.
No.
In that position. It's first of all, they're just so far connected from what's actually happened, like we've said before.
Yeah.
Like they're 80 years or I don't know, I guess they're all 80. So they're 60 years away from what's actually happening, right? Like,
and they give it to a guy who's got 47 years in the system with no real career wins. What? You know what I mean? He's a bum.
I don't know.
You're a bum, Joe.
That's party politics, though.
He's a bum
You
and a
need to get
liar.
rid of party politics.
Yeah.
Well,
if you could actually represent your constituents.
You know, it's funny because I never tried to pay attention to politics, but once I started to study money and currency, it's so intertwined with politics. So now that I've just learned so much about politics since, and you got to understand a bit, but it's frustrating. I can't stand the theater myself.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But what will be nice to see in the future is that eventually everything will be on chain. So there'll be no such thing as there'll be no possible way, whether people believe it happened or didn't, that the election can be rigged, right? Because once everything's on chain, every single person who votes would be able to count.
Yeah.
That's how it works. That's how blockchain works. Every person
it would count it itself.
Exactly, but it would. An AI would take over and it would say this is who it is. But if you wanted to go back, as long as you voted, as long as you participated in the chain, you have access to the entire thing. You could go count yourself. Every single person who voted would be able to count themselves.
Yeah, you could go and count.
So there's not one person that could say so and so rigged this or so and so did that or this got that. No, it doesn't matter. There's no possible way that can happen on a blockchain.
Check it out. Yeah.
So if that's coming, then maybe we will see a real democracy.
Living life on a blockchain.
Well,
do you got some questions for us?
Yeah. How do I invest?
How do you invest?
In the future?
We always kind of pushed Coinbase here, but I am now...
I haven't used it anymore.
Gone from Coinbase. I think people should avoid Coinbase. So, here in Canada, I would recommend someone like yourself using Wealthsimple. So Wealthsimple is basically a digital bank and brokerage. You can buy cryptos there. You have access to some stocks.
All traditional stocks
as well. And it comes with a card, so you can sell your crypto and put it right into your cash account on the card. You can use it anywhere the Visa, MasterCard is accepted. So Wealthsimple is what I would recommend for you, and you can just...
So Wealthsimple is an app?
It's an app on your phone.
Wealthsimple is an app on your phone, yeah.
Yes.
Checking.
It's an app on your phone. And like I said, it's basically it's a digital wallet. It's a digital bank. And it's going to hold your cash. You can choose what you earn back. So you can earn back Bitcoin or you can earn back cash, 1% on your spending.
Just like any other.
And if you get a
MasterCard.
direct deposit for income, they'll give you a 3% on your direct deposit income as well. So that's 3% free money that goes directly into crypto for me.
Personally, I would only use that if you're buying crypto as just an on-ramp. Basically, you use it to buy it and then you would hold it into, because it's
cold storage.
Yeah, so when you have your crypto on an exchange, they are actually holding your crypto, your keys, your access to the blockchain. So, but you can get things called cold storage hardware wallet where you are holding your own crypto. So what I do is I use it to buy crypto and then immediately send it to my hardware wallet. So I have full access to it because the way that Bitcoin works and all these blockchains and cryptos work is They are just a setup ledger blockchain. It all exists on the blockchain. You don't actually get to hold them tangible for yourself. You just get to hold private keys that gives you access to them. That's how technically they can never be lost or manipulated, because nobody actually gets to touch them. You just get access. You have now bought the access rights to use that little bit that's on there.
Yeah.
It'll always be on chain. It never actually leaves the chain.
Yeah.
You just get the right. You just buy the rights to use that little bit, right? So when people say that crypto has been lost, actually private keys have been lost to access that amount of crypto. That's why we know, and 13% of Bitcoin access has already been lost. That's how we know it can never possibly go to zero, because that 13% can never be sold, because people have probably died already. Some of the guys and some of the crew, the official crew, or I should say alleged crew that are Satoshi Nakamoto, have died. So, and those are the guys that obviously would have the most, right? Because they created it. Some of the first transactions that we see on the blockchain are these. There's a group of people, right? Because like I said, every single transaction is transparent. We can go on chain and look all the way back to transaction 1, which is a guy named Hal Finney, and then from there it goes to a couple other people. And obviously, so a lot of people think, who is it? And then, like what I just said, it's probably a team of guys. But obviously, if you're creating something, you're going to send it to yourself first to see if it works, right? I mean, unless it was some sort of bribe where he's like, hey man, I just invented this new thing, I'll send it to you, what do you think? Just to see if it works. Maybe he did, but but first of all, that very well could be an argument.
So what happened to Hal Finney?
He had something like MS. He basically just deteriorated. He was a very smart individual.
And there's a lot of crypto billionaires suspiciously dying.
Yeah, he was. They have been for, well.
So what's the advantage to that over having it in the bank? What's the difference between me having $5,000 sitting in a high interest or a term deposit?
Well, it depends what you want to do with it. If you want to get high interest on it, then you'd have to look so what you can do with some coins, I wouldn't do with Bitcoin. What you can do is called staking, which is basically giving your coins to an exchange or to a on-chain type platform where they will use your staked currency coins to basically be the reserve for anybody that's taking loans.
Keeps the network secure.
Yeah, so the more coins that are on there, it's the same thing as the bank would worth. So some of you can get up to 20%. Personally, all the high yield things that I've been involved with, I've lost money in the end. You start to make a bit, but then they go under, they go bankrupt in a bear market, they get margin called and they lose the pool, right? Because it's basically a bunch of people pooling their money together to make more money together, right? Because as an individual, you only can do so much. But if we all put our money together, we can make more.
Bitcoin, your high interest savings account is going to give you 4% a year, and Bitcoin's gone up on average 100% a year, right? So. And it's not that you need to take all your money and put it into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a safety assurance like gold is for your value for the future. So if we know that inflation is coming in at 7 to 9% a year, then you're losing 7 to 9% of your value while collecting 4% interest. You're still losing in the long run, right? Bitcoin is a deflationary asset by nature. So as it decreases in its production, it's getting more valuable, where we increase the supply of fiat dollars, and that lessens the value. So as we near the end of supply of Bitcoin, it's only going to create more and more value, right? So
every transaction
that if it can be cut into so many fractions, why is it any different than the dollar being print to an infinite amount? Is because it's still deflationary by nature, and as we produce into those smaller amounts, the value is going to be going up as opposed to going down, because we've just increased the supply. We're never going to increase the supply of 21 million to Bitcoin.
You can't,
but
because it's like I said, it's on chain. It's already been established. There's nothing you can do.
In the 18 months of the pandemic, we increased the fiat dollar supply by 40%.
That's why everything's
that's
twice
40%
expensive.
of what's been produced in the last 100 years.
Yeah,
in the last 2 to 3 years. So that's insane, and that's why our value to what we get, say a bag of groceries or our gas or whatever the case may be, our basket of goods,
Gets smaller and smaller.
It's getting smaller and smaller. So everyone's like, well, cash is king. $1 is always going to be worth $1. Well, no, it's not worth $1 because it doesn't buy the same thing. So it's like prices have gone up.
A loaf of bread was worth $3. Now a loaf of bread is worth $10.
We have the illusion that the prices have gone up, but it's not. The value of the dollar has just gone down.
Yeah.
Right. So it takes
because there's more of it, right? And like I said, with these banks, the bank situation, the only option is to print more money. So it's just going to continue to go because that's how the system's ran.
Yeah. And when it gets really bad, they take it back from us in interest.
Yeah. With the blockchain, every transaction is recorded on the block, and every block that's built, every 200,000 blocks, we have a halving with Bitcoin. So basically, in the very first halving, half of the supply of Bitcoin was released. You can it was available for mining, and in roughly 4 years, 200,000 blocks were mined. And then after that, there was another halving, so 25% was now released, and then we had 12.5, and the next one is going to be 6.25, and so there's only going to be half as much released into the system every 200,000 blocks, roughly 4 years. So we've just seen the bear market, because when the halving happens, the demand goes insane because we know that only half as much is going to be available, and the transactions speed up. You see a lot of people move their crypto from cold storage into exchanges to trade this, because like I said, it's all the traders that are moving the prices around, right? They don't care about what the price is, they just care about what they can do to it. And when the supply is about to be cut in half, they know that if they push their money and put it in the right place, we see these 300%, 400% years in Bitcoin. But like you said, average is 100% because we have seen certain years where it goes down.
Yeah, and we are in a low right now.
We're in a nice low, and we might see lower prices. We just because like they're basically scaring and saying to everybody with all the stuff that's happening to expect lower prices.
This could easily be a rejection.
This could just be a nice little relief rally. It could go down like back to 16. It could go down to 12.
I would love it if it went to 16.
But I mean, personally though, I don't think it's gonna with what's happening with the banks. Like they're gonna start. They have no choice but to put the money printer back on again.
So soon not buying more at 50.
That's my only regret. My only regret the entire time I've. The only she's just stretching. The only time I've ever the only thing I regret is not buying more. I've been in since 2016, and I watched the whole bear market of 2019 and didn't buy once.
Well, now you know to DCA though.
Exactly. And so since I've DCA'd,
you got to learn by being burned though. That's what happens in crypto. You get all excited. Someone's like, "Hey, Bitcoin's going, it's crazy. Yeah, get in there." And you're like, "Yeah."
Well, and that's just
up. You make a little bit of money in the beginning, and then all of a sudden,
you think it's going to continue.
But
and
it's the same in the stock market.
Well, it's brutal because you saw commercials for Bitcoin on TV when it was at 69K. They were telling people to buy commercially when it was high. That's why we started this podcast. We said, no, do not buy Bitcoin right now. It's about to go to 20K. And you can go back and look at our 4th or 5th episode or whatever, and word for word, that's exactly what I said, 20K. And we came all the way back down to 20K. And then as we got closer, of course, we dialed in our price point. I mean, 15.4 was what we came up with, and that's what we hit. So, but just
and that was beginning of October. That was a good call.
The reason why we did that, right, we did the podcast, is because we don't want the people that we know, the people that are watching this are only going to be our family and friends anyways at this point, right? So this is a perfect time for all of them and all of us to...
Actually, most of our audience is from the States.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're starting to get pretty big now. A couple hundred views per video. I think, you know what's funny, actually?
Hey, we got like 4K views this
month. And you know what's funny is our last video only got 42 views on it. It was because we didn't have Bitcoin in the title. Ridiculous. But anyways, we absolute full of gold, that one. So if you haven't watched that episode, I would suggest going and watch that one after this. But we talked about USDC, and that already happened. And then there's a couple other things that we're talking about, but you were talking about USDC.
Basically, anybody that the media and the SEC and US is going to blast in your face is going to end up being the opposite. They did the same thing with SBF. And FTX was the face of crypto. This guy was the face of crypto, and he was all over everything, and he was supposed to be the next big exchange, and it tanked, right?
And they pulled the rug right out from under him. So they shake his face in the
Circle,
media.
Coinbase, and Silicon Valley Bank get all in bed together. Same thing happens, collapse, and
they make sure you know about it.
2 weeks ago, they're telling you to drop Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not safe anymore. Get into USDC, the US-backed stable coin. And we talked about this in the last episode. And then 3-4 days later, it depegged. Right? A stable coin ain't supposed to move, right? That bank collapses as in USDC depegs.
Yeah.
So there goes all the trust of everyone again that the media was telling you to put your trust into, right? So it's like I said, all they can do is slow this down. This is this is a competition for currency, and they are slowing it down.
And what that was the feat to try and make you scared. It was just they wanted to push this guy in your face and then have you watch him as they pull the rug out from under his feet.
And we saw it coming.
Yeah. It's because it's happened before, and they'll try and do it again until you figure it out. Did you have any more questions for us, Mom?
I did have one, but I forget what it was.
That's all right. That happens.
Oh, I know. So you guys are sort of like actively, practically what we'd call last decade day trading.
Mm-hmm.
What about a lazy ass like me who just wants to put my money somewhere and let it do its own thing?
Well, that's
this is why we DCA, so dollar cost average. You buy regardless of the price because you don't want to watch the charts and you just want to be lazy, as you said. So you pick a day, or maybe if it's even every day. So if you actually take, what I would recommend doing is taking a large sum of money, putting it into a trusted stable coin on one of these networks, and then having a purchase set up every day to come from that account. So if your goal is to have X amount of dollars in, put the whole amount into a stable coin, and then every day take, say, $50 or whatever it is, and buy until you get that full amount in over a certain amount of time. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So dollar cost averaging into the market, so you can either do it bi-weekly or, you know what I mean, semi-monthly, or you can do it weekly. I suggest more frequent, because then you get more of these
you catch the dips more often,
right?
Yeah.
And then over a 5-year period, you
treat it as an RRSP.
You might buy us a steak dinner or something. Like, who knows?
You treat it as an RRSP. You're not looking for gains tomorrow. Right. You're looking for gains over the long period of time.
It's definitely not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a manage your own money and hope for a future of financial sovereignty that is not connected to government.
Yeah,
right?
And when
that's what we want. We want money disconnected from state. Okay, that is the issue here. The USA
started when the gold standard was taken.
They can screw off. Yeah, they can screw off. Stop screwing us. We get money disconnected from state, and everybody gets an equal playing field. And Bitcoin's the only place for that.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is that it's funny because we're in North America talking about it, and we want. It may hurt us. Like it's going to benefit the countries like India and other countries like that a lot more than it's going to benefit us.
First,
right?
Yeah,
because that giving them an even playing field, it's got to come from somewhere else, right? So we may lose a little bit, but if it's for the greater good, in my opinion, like
El Salvador's killing it right now. He started buying 1 Bitcoin a day. Like they bought a bunch at like 40K and whatever.
Yeah.
And they were in the underwater.
Yeah.
And then when it came down, he started doing the dollar cost average, but he was buying 1 Bitcoin a day for the country, and now they're in a great position, and their tourism is up like 90%.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's killing it. So.
It's a long-term game, and anybody that tells you it's a get-rich-quick scheme doesn't know what they're talking about, or they're trying to take your money, because that's the red flag number one for all investment fraud.
I also like to reiterate the fact that I personally, and I strongly feel this way, that Bitcoin and crypto are 2 totally different things. And
100%.
Crypto is speculation and gambling, and it's investing as well. Like these are just companies, or digital companies.
But you're investing in a person, and the fact that they have to continue to do what they promised you for it to work out.
Yeah.
Right. With Bitcoin, it's already done. There's no issuer. It's already, the code is written.
Completely decentralized.
What is going to happen with Bitcoin is going to happen regardless of anything, unless the internet goes down entirely. But even if it does, obviously AI will bring it back, and Bitcoin will be there.
Yeah.
Because the internet's not going down at this point. There's too many things that rely on it that it won't. It's probably impossible.
Cyber attacks and some internet shutdowns, like maybe that's a thing they use as some sort of fear tactic, but I'm not too worried about that. And if we end up with no power, no internet, then
so it's Bitcoin or barter.
Money's not going to be one of your
concerns. Bitcoin or barter.
It's going to be protecting your home and your family and getting some food and some rabbits and shit.
Exactly. Good thing we got deer around here. I know at least 4.
We lots of deer and rabbits here, so we're all right.
All right. Well, that was a pretty good episode. Went a little bit long on this one, but if you have any questions, let us know down below, and smash the like, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you on the next one. Biggs and Boggs and Stephanie Longstaff out. Peace.
Biggs and Boggs.